Good morning, everybody. My name is Ronald White. I'm an alcoholic. Welcome to the Sunday morning Never Too Early Big Book Workshop on Zoom. For those who care to, please join me in a moment of silence to remind us why we're here, and for the alcoholic and addict who still suffers. Would you please join me in the serenity prayer? God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things that I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Amen. This is the foreword as it appeared in the first printing of the first edition of the Big Book in 1939. We of Alcoholics Anonymous are more than 100 men and women who have recovered from a seemingly hopeless state of mind and body. To show other alcoholics precisely how we have recovered is the main purpose of this book. For them, we hope these pages will prove so convincing that no further authentication will be necessary. We think this account of our experiences will help everyone to better understand the alcoholic. Many do not comprehend that the alcoholic is a very sick person. And besides, we are sure that our way of living has its advantages for all. Now, it is the purpose of this workshop to experience the recovery process as outlined in the Big Book of Alcoholics Anonymous, either for the first time or again, so we may better carry out and understand our primary purpose, to stay sober and carry the message to the still suffering alcoholic or addict. Now, we do this, as the Big Book suggests, as a group, in a 1.5-hour meeting, which includes a 15-minute group conscience. We have a different reader each week whose responsibility is to keep us on track with what is being read. The reader will pause at each paragraph for comments, questions, problems, and experiences with what was just read. Now, we're here to talk about recovery only and go through the 12-step processes outlined in the Big Book of Alcoholics Anonymous. This is not an emotional or an intellectual exercise. This is a spiritual exercise so that we all can recover and experience that recovery process as we read it together. Crosstalk is allowed in a loving and supportive manner. Please try to relate your experiences only with your questions or your comments. Could you please repeat after me? Please, God, let us put aside everything we think we know about ourselves, our disease, this process, and you, God, for an open mind and a new experience. Amen.
Morning, everybody. My name is Ralph White. I am an alcoholic, and welcome to the Never Too Early Big Book Workshop. We want to welcome you if you're just now joining us for the first time. We are coming to the end of this latest session. We are in step 12 in chapter 7, working with others. If you're celebrating a birthday, yearly milestones only, please put it in the chat, put your name and the number of years, and we'll be glad to celebrate your birthday with you at the end of the meeting. I'm not going to be here at the end of the meeting, so when we go do a moment of silence at the end of the meeting, I want us to keep one of our members in prayer and keep their family in prayer. Navon just lost her mom this morning. So Navon is currently, she's there with her mom right now, and she lost her this morning. So let's keep her and her family in prayer at the end of the meeting. And you guys reach out to our sister Holder and reach out to her in the next week, maybe with text. I don't know. I'm sure she'll be overwhelmed. I know she's got a lot of sponsees on here too. So let's hold her close right now. And again, if you're just joining us and you've not been with us before, we ask that you don't raise your hand and share during the meeting. This is not a drop-in meeting. This is a group that's been together now for quite some time. We're at the end of the 12th step, and we just encourage you to listen and share by listening. And be sure to stay with us when we start up again also, which will be in a few weeks. We are currently in the chapter Working with Others.
Birthday,
I mentioned that already.
Oh, okay. I apologize.
Yes, you're sleeping. So we're on page 99. I think we're in the in the paragraph after they have seen tangible results. Is that right, Ryan?
Yes, that is right. After they have seen tangible results.
Page 99, first full paragraph, after they have seen tangible results. Take it away, reader.
Hi, my name is Kelly, and I'm a real alcoholic. After they have seen tangible results, the family will perhaps want to go alone. These things will come to pass naturally and in good time provided. However, the alcoholic continues to demonstrate that he can be sober, considerate, and helpful regardless of what anyone says or does. Of course, we all fall much below this standard many times, but we must try to repair the damage immediately, lest we pay the penalty by a spree.
I'm waiting on Ronnie, I guess. So we're picking up where we left off, and the alcoholic may or may not decide to go forward with the program, but we shouldn't use that as a reason to let the family go. So we should keep working with the family. And even if the alcoholic is, though the family, let me go back to last week. Oh, okay. We're talking about putting the principles in place in the house. And check this out. After the family has seen you sober, and I know we got a bunch of new friends on here, and you probably are thinking, how come they don't see how serious I am? How come they don't trust me yet? How come, you know how long it'll take somebody to believe you can be sober a year? A year. And then, it ain't gonna happen no sooner than that. It ain't gonna happen no faster than that. And so after the family has seen tangible results, now they may want to do, because I get sober. Now all of a sudden, I've discovered spiritual principles. Everybody is supposed to see the way that I see. How come everybody ain't doing these 12 steps? How come they ain't making amends to me? How come they ain't seeing how come I gotta always be the one looking at myself? These things are happen naturally and in good time if I continue to demonstrate that I can demonstrate, not talk about, not hope for, demonstrate that I can be sober, considerate, and helpful, regardless of what everybody else is saying. They might not trust me. They may not talk to me the way I think they should talk to me. They may not give me the kind of respect I did believe I deserve, But if I continue, now says this, Ralph, you might snap at somebody in the house because they ain't recognizing how serious you're trying to be. They ain't recognizing that you've changed. They ain't recognizing all the things and sacrifices that you're making now. You might snap. You might trip. You might talk shit. You might go off on somebody. Of course, we all fall much below the standard. I might. But if I do that, God's property people, our other new friends, and a lot of old friends. If I do that, I need to go back and make that right ASAP. And here's one of the warnings that we have, particularly when I'm new at this thing. And this is talking to new people. I might pay the penalty by a spree. I'll show them I'm pissed off. I'm lonely. I feel rejected. Ain't nobody seeing it my way. Lest I pay the penalty by a spree. So that's one of the few places we see a warning, but that is a warning that's in there for a reason. And many of us have paid the price for that. Oops. Go ahead, reader.
If there be divorce or separation, there should be no undue haste for the couple to get together. The man should be sure of his recovery. The wife should fully understand his new way of life. If their old relationship is to be resumed, it must be on a better basis, since the former did not work. This means a new attitude and spirit all around. Sometimes it is to the best interest of all concerned that a couple remain apart. Obviously, no rule can be laid down. Let the alcoholic continue his program day by day. When the time for living together has come, it will be apparent to both parties.
Oh, we quiet on this domestic problem. Rick? Rick, you had your hand up and you put it down.
I'm trying to unmute and not cause visual problems. Good morning, I'm Rick Erding. I'm an alcoholic. Nobody wants to talk about this, and I have experience, and I'm sorry, I don't want to open the wound again, but when I got sober, my wife was a cocaine addict. I was scared to death because I was hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt. And those cocaine people can really go through some money and torment. And I ended up, I'm raising 3 little kids, trying to get sober and pay off debts and find out how to get back into my occupation. I drank myself out of pretty much. Anyway, we had this nightmare going on, and I was pissed off. It was like a Dr. Seuss book of my life. The Daisy May had flown the coop, and I'm with these kids, and it was a panic. I couldn't live this early sobriety again. When I hear guys that I work with tell me that they're sitting in a recovery house and they're unhappy about it, and I remember my life. I always had to get 3 kids to 3 different schools, get the shopping done, the cleaning done, dinners, the meals. I feel for single mothers, in this program, because I was one, and trying to get to meetings. I did get a lot of help. Women in the PTA helped me. Neighbors helped me doing drop off and pick up, and all the stuff that goes on in new sobriety. And I had it compounded by trying to take care of this family. And finally, I realized that I was sort of fortunate she was out of there for a while, and anyway, she spent a year in a women's recovery house, and I learned to get sober, and I had to go through these steps, and I had to have a sponsor that helped me. So this is a new attitude you got to have, this new spirit, the stuff that you're going to have in your family. My kids were scared to death. They didn't know which end was up. The whole ripple effect of alcoholism and drug abuse, that affects the family. It was terrifying, and I was scared of her. I didn't want anything to do with her. Just a nightmare of that stuff. And we'd had the police come, the whole stuff with the good cop, bad cop, and they were going to arrest her. And I had a female cop come to me, what you got here is a drug addict and an alcoholic. She says she wants to get sober. And and I said, God damn, get this nightmare out of my life. I want her put away in Rikers somewhere, as far as you can get from here. And I was going to go, and I don't want to go through the whole Al-Anon regime here, but it was, for a new alcoholic sober and having all this stepping on the rake of your whole life hitting you all at once. And I'd gone to an AA meeting. I was sober 90 days or something like that. And I called my sponsor, I told him what was going on. And he said, what did they tell you to do? They said, why don't you help her? And he said, well, my sponsor said, why don't you help her? You know where to go. You know where Claire is in Santa Monica. Take her to Claire. And I said, oh, shit. Anyway, so I took her to this place. She ended up staying there for a year. She got sober. A year later, we put our family back together, which only can happen in Alcoholics Anonymous. we've been married 15 years at that time. Then, anyway, I love this program and I love this book, and this saved my life. This is in this thing. It says sometimes the couple remain apart. Well, we were apart for a year while she did this, this dance of death in and out and calling. Finally, she had to make amends to me and the kids and stuff. This is just such a miracle the way this whole process works here. It works for everybody in almost any situation. And I don't want to take up the meeting because I love you guys, and thanks. Everybody stay out of jail today. I love you guys. Aloha.
Jessica?
I'm Jessica. I'm an alcoholic. Well, when I first got sober, I had a boyfriend, and we'd been living together for a couple of years, and I was getting an ankle monitor installed on my leg, and he was dealing. So the day before I got my ankle monitor, I was like, so is your business going to continue? And he was like, absolutely. And I was like, okay, well, I have 3 drug tests a week, and I have an ankle monitor coming on. So you have to move out. Like, it was my apartment. I legally was going to be the one going to jail for it. And I was like, you got to move out. So we parted ways. I was like, came into AA, like, kicking and screaming. But like, what a miracle today. I'm sober. He's sober. We don't live together. We are still friends. But like, at the time, that was the best thing. Like, I needed to do this thing day by day. I needed just to figure out like what this was and what it had to offer, and what it's had to offer is so beautiful. So thank you for this meeting, and that's my experience on this.
Ronald?
My name is Ronald, and I'm an addict. It's so funny that after having went through this process and looking back, I remember that the only reason I came into this process and wanted to get sober was to get her back. I wanted her back, but after I got sober, that all changed. I didn't want to be back in that relationship. And it wasn't a bad thing because we ended up being friends, and ultimately I became a light for her because she fell into alcoholism and then needed recovery. So she ended up following me here into the rooms. But it's funny that the relationship was the excuse for you to be here, but it wasn't what I needed to stay. So I'm grateful for that. Thank you.
And no more hands after Bobby. Gail?
Morning, everybody. Gail, alcoholic. This paragraph really helped me in early sobriety. I was 6 weeks sober when I moved out of my house and left my husband behind. And we had a rocky marriage before that, and I'm trying to get sober, and he's bringing home booze, which he'd said he wouldn't do. So I was scared, and I left. And then, because we still had a teenager at home, we went through the dance, thinking we should get back together. And when he wanted to, I didn't. And when I wanted to, he didn't. And thank God for the people in the program that just said, stick with us, keep working on your sobriety. It'll all work out however God thinks it's supposed to go. And I was so new that all right. So the part, the very last sentence where it says, when the time for living together has come, it'll be apparent to both people, both parties. And that, I really hung on to that because of the dance that we did of not being on the same page. And eventually we did not get back together, but we were able to iron out some of our differences so that we could parent our child that was still there. So I always feel very fondly about this paragraph because I really think it helps. And so many of us have relationship issues early on and all through, for that matter. So thank you. Thank you.
Bobby?
Alcoholic problem. Thanks for calling me. Thanks for letting me share. read this part of the big book many times, shared on it, but never from this perspective. Getting back together again. When I first came into AA, my wife came in 6 years later after me. And my son came in shortly thereafter that. My daughter met someone in AA and married him. We're like first family of AA. Getting back together again. My wife's in New York. We're still married at 47 years. I'm in North Carolina. My kids have never seen me drink, and they did. So my wife, that's now on I'm thinking about that, but you know, the time it's a timing thing, and right now I'm at a point where I'm just trying to, you know, when you're reading before about or talking about before about expecting the family to give you respect and everything, I had utmost respect for my kids who had never seen me drink. I was, you know, first father of AA, you know, and then they saw me in a diaper and then go into the nursing home. So I try and do for them what I kind of expect of them. I'm trying to give them as much respect as I can. Not by saying I respect you, but by showing it to them, because that's what I want. I don't know if I'll ever get that. The house, the money, everything else I gave away, I burned my life to the ground. Really important. I'm living a good life now. I'm working in church cleaning windows right now, but it's good. And I'm just blessed to be here, and I'm really happy I got to share. So thank you very much. Thank you. God bless you all.
And this paragraph is one I can definitely share on, but I want to pair it with the next paragraph. So read, reader.
Let no alcoholic say he cannot recover unless he has his family back. This just isn't so. In some cases, the wife will never come back for one reason or another. Remind the prospect that his recovery is not to be dependent upon people. It is dependent upon his relationship with God. We have seen men get well whose family have not returned at all. We have seen others slip when the family came back too soon.
Okay, Rooster.
Morning, everyone. My name is Rooster, and I am an alcoholic. When I first got sober, I was a physically abused husband with my first wife, and I managed to find the program of Alcoholics Anonymous while she kept on drinking. And when I came home from recovery, the attitude and the actions did not change in any way. So it became necessary, as it says in the previous paragraph, to separate and go different directions. And thank God that I read that, because I would probably still be in that relationship or severely injured. So that person left and moved back to where she came from, where we met, and I was able to continue on and utilize the steps and everything I could, because I needed to save my life. And only I could do that with the help of God and Alcoholics Anonymous. And I've not really revealed this to anyone before other than my sponsor, so I'm kind of pulling my own covers here this morning. So thank you very much for letting me share that.
All right. Janet?
Hi, everybody. I'm an alcoholic, and my name is Janet, and thank you, everybody, for doing service on this. And when I married my husband, after being married to a drunk, I divorced him. We were friends, my husband now, and he didn't know through dating in the first 3 years of our marriage that he had married an alcoholic. I had kept it so hidden from him and also from myself that he didn't even know that. And I'll tell you something, when the shit hit the fan and I suffered from severe PTSD and alcoholism, tootling off to an in-person, an outpatient rehab, that reality set in. He didn't know what to do. He didn't know if he was 1 foot in, he didn't know if 1 foot out, what was going to happen to me, what was going to happen to him. But you know what? My sponsor told me, who I still have the same sponsor, early on, she said, Janet, you are getting sober for yourself. You are not getting sober for your husband, your job, any of that. You are getting sober for you. Because if you place your sobriety contingent on anybody other than your higher power, you are going to lose it. She was so straight up about that. And so I said to my husband, I said, you know what? I have to get sober for me. Love you, and you do what you have to do in your life, but you know what? I have to get sober for me. And you know what? We've been married for 20 years now, and happy to be. So this program really works, but I had to do the work, and I had to do the work with my higher power. Otherwise, I wouldn't be here right now. So thank you, everybody.
No more hands after Joe. No more hands after Joe. Reggie.
Reggie White, alcoholic. I'm sorry, I thought I'd put my hand back. I've been putting it up and down because I cover a few of these paragraphs. I'm not going to share. I'm never mind.
Pam.
Morning, never too early. I'm Pam, and I'm an alcoholic. And yeah, I can resonate with this because when I first met my ex, I was in another fellowship, and he's like, I don't want you parking my Mercedes down there in front of them club people, because I got sober in Pittsburgh, and a lot of people would know we had vanity plates, and he had a lot of money, and by the time I got done with him, he was sleeping with his credit card and his car keys and his pillowcases. I had gone back out, but he still wanted me to stay. So when because you know we fit the box, you know, this is so and so, and they married so and so, and we doing so and so. And I remember when I got clean, or I got clean again, sober again. I had to move down here to Charlotte to do it, but I remember, you know, him saying, "Oh, I want you back in this house. My mother said it's not a house unless, you know, you're here." And I lost everything. I left a 3,865 square house with the Mercedes-Benz E320 and a Range Rover SE7 in driveway. Those were just my cars. And I went back to my parents. Now I'm in Pittsburgh, and we all know each other, and people are talking mucho dinero shito. And I had to decide what was important. So I went back to my parents' house, and I had an opportunity to come to Charlotte, and I did. And I don't know, you know, I know that God has to come first. He could do what he do. I would watch him drink a handle of vodka and get up and do a board meeting because he could. You know, I'm an alcoholic. You know, I can't. And maybe he is and maybe he isn't. I don't know. But I know my life had to come first. And it was painful because I like that stuff. I like the private boxes, the pirate game. I like the jets to Nemacolin Woodlands. I like all that stuff. But I knew that me, it's not dependent on him. It wasn't dependent on that. It was dependent on my relationship with God. And that's why, and I'm saying this and shut up, that's why I boo-hooed the first year here in this fellowship, in this meeting. Because there was nobody that looked like me that had the solution. See, I was going to 90 meetings in 90 days, and I was hungry, angry, lonely, and tired. I didn't do none of that. You know, but when I got here, and you all started showing me a solution, I realized I didn't need him. I didn't need that car. I just needed God. And you showed me how to get here because I saw you through your experience do that. So I was able to walk away from everything and latch on to God. And my life has gone nothing but like this since. So thank you for letting me share.
Ernie.
Hi, I'm Benny. I'm alcoholic. I use these few paragraphs a lot working with sponsees, and often with women that there may be a kind of, I mean, you know, there's always a huge amount of fear around coming into recovery, but will I manage on my own? And what if he leaves me? And can I manage the kids by myself? And am I not going to be loved? Am I going to be lonely? And so there's this huge amount of fear. And what I got from this and what I encourage with sponsees is this idea is that you will either, if you just take care of basic steps of staying sober day by day, you will either earn back what you feel you've lost or what you've threatened with your drinking, or you will learn how to end things well. And that means without fear and knowing that you are going to be okay. And that's a very powerful thing for people to learn. And I've seen it work time and time and time again without that rush, without that focus on outcome, just that focus on recovery and doing the next right thing. it will turn out the way it's meant to turn out for the betterment of everybody, not just you, but also your kids and also your partner. And that, for me, is one of the most powerful things about the 12-step program. You know, it looks after everybody. I'll leave it there. Thanks.
Joe?
Hello, everyone. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yeah. Hi, I'm Joe. I'm an alcoholic. I haven't read the readings, but all I heard is about relationships. So
No, Joe, what do you mean you haven't read the reading?
No, I'm still doing the steps, but I was listening to, to what you guys were saying.
We're not doing general sharing, Joe.
All right.
Have you been with us? Is this your first time here, Joe?
Yeah, it's my first time in this.
Okay, we're going to ask you to listen. This is not a drop-in meeting, Joe. This is a Big Book workshop. We've been here together. This is what I want you to do. I want to meet you, so we're glad to meet you, and I want you to stay with us. Get in the rhythm of what we do, okay? We are glad you are here. Thank you, sir. So this is me. I got served with divorce papers when I was in the care unit program. And that was a year before I was serious. I heard, for all the people in those that are sitting on here right now in the treatment facilities, you might be like me. Why would I even want to get sober if not for my kids? Why bother getting sober if not for my wife? Now that I'm getting out of this, I was a shitty husband. I was a shitty father. Now you would think that that should be goal number one. To be, that's it. I get it. I want to be sober for myself. And when I came back in '86, so I'm here. If there be divorce or separation, there was, and I was hoping to get back in my house. There should be no undue haste for the couple to get together. You would think my ex-wife had read this, because she said this to me when we were talking. And she said, Ralph, when I got out of treatment and I started coming back and seeing my daughter, she said, if we ever were to get back together, we have to start dating again as if we were brand new. She said, because that old thing we were in, I don't want that anymore. She said, so, and she let me down easy. She didn't say it's no hope for us. She said, if there would be any hope, we'd have to start over. Now that was out there, but I never even pursued that thread. It says sometimes it's in the best interest of all concerned, the couple remain apart. Here's the deal, sponsors. No rule to be laid down. It's some people sitting on the platform that got back with their spouses. They've been married a long time. It's some people on the platform that are in the next paragraph. In some cases, the wife will never come back. That's me. Wife never came back. Not as a wife. Came back as a best friend of mine. Did not come back as a wife. I'm specifically in the reading. Let no alcoholic say he cannot recover unless he had a family back. That's me. And I thought for a time, my first time trying to do this, before I did it, I thought for a time that was a prerequisite. Why try to get sober if you don't want to write some of the stuff? And we have a step for that later on. But I was putting the cart before the horse. I was wanting to get everything right before I got sober. And so it talks about, and so this is speaking directly to me, remind Ralph that his recovery is not dependent on people, really. It's not dependent on if he's going to ever be back in that big bed. It's not dependent on if him and his college sweetheart are going to get back together. It's not dependent on whether or not he's going to get that respect from his baby that he thought he deserved. Really? really, So we have seen men get well whose families are not returned at all. You look at one. My family ended up returning, but not the way that I wanted them to return at first. My family definitely, and that's the hope for our new friends that are sitting on the platform thinking I know how it's supposed to look. I need her to come back. No. I'm telling you guys, my family has returned in a way I couldn't have orchestrated, which is putting us in the next paragraph. Read, reader.
Both you and the new man walk day by day in the path of spiritual progress. If you persist, remarkable things will happen. When we look back, we realize that the things which came to us when we put ourselves in God's hand were better than anything we could have planned. Follow the dictates of a higher power, and you will presently live in a new and wonderful world, no matter what your present circumstances.
Alice?
Hi, family. My name is Alice. I'm a grateful member of Alcoholics Anonymous. And this paragraph fills me with the Holy Ghost. Like I just am rocketed in this paragraph, but I want to connect it to the 3 paragraphs before, right? So I don't have the direct experience that the paragraph is talking about, right? Like nobody left me and I wasn't waiting for him to come back. I don't have that. But here's what I have, and here's what the 4 paragraphs say to me. My identity is tied up in something outside of me. Like I'm the girlfriend, I'm the executive, I'm the homeowner, I'm the something. And I think I need to be that for me to be okay. And what it tells me is that I'm focused on the wrong thing. The paragraph that we started on says it starts with the word after. I don't get the blessing and then I do the work. I do the work and then I get the blessing, right? And then what does it say? It says I have to demonstrate. I am like Jim. I didn't know I was like Jim in the chapter more about alcoholism, right? I want to do some of the work and get all the benefits. I don't really want to do the inventory all the time, tell the truth all the time, keep my mouth shut. I don't want to do all that. But I have to demonstrate these principles. And then it goes on and it tells me that, look, it can't obviously work out based on how it failed. I've got to have a new way of living, a new way of approaching life, of approaching relationships. And man, that's hard because I'm under the delusion that the way that I was doing it before it was okay, but just something unfortunate happened to me. No, the way I was doing it is faulty. But let me just, this paragraph. I want to just go to 3 things, remarkable things. My life, when I stopped being selfish, self-centered, self-seeking, when I stopped wanting the relationship, the house, the job, all of that to fix me, my life becomes remarkable. I don't want to do the work, but it becomes remarkable. And then it says that when I look back, Ralph, you might be the first person I heard say this. Life is lived forward, but understood backwards, right? And I can't look forward and see what it's going to be. I look back and see when I do the work, something different happens. And then finally, the dictates. If I do the things, we talk about Alcoholics Anonymous as like, suggestions. I just suggest you do what I did. I suggest you follow the steps. Because when I follow them, these remarkable things happen. I'm able to be happy and live in a new and wonderful world no matter what's happening. I'm in a hallway right now, and no matter what's happening, I get to be happy. I get to be joyful. I get to be free. Job, no job. Relationship, no relationship. House, no house. It don't matter. I get to be on the assignment that I'm given, and I get to be grateful about that. I just love this meeting. Thank you.
Deal?
Good morning, everyone. My name is Jill, and I am an alcoholic, and I'm grateful to be sober in this meeting. And, well, it's not a meeting, is it? It's a workshop. I And I studied this book and the history of it at length. And I got to remember where I'm at here in the reading. It's about working with others. So this is me as an alcoholic who is going through this process, and I'm going to be working with others. There's all kinds of others that come into our lives with our personalities, etc., and our circumstances. And I love the first line that's in that second paragraph. Let no alcoholic say that he can't recover unless he has his family back. This just isn't so. It's not the truth. It's a lie. You can get sober. You can come back into the world of the living if you're escaping that alcoholic doom and gloom and the death that's there. But the line that I think we forget a lot is remind the prospect, this newcomer, that his recovery is not dependent on people, places, or things. It's dependent upon his relationship with God. Bam, mic drop. Do you get that? And then that next paragraph, there's an old man that I listen to who I just admire and respect. He's out of the South. His name's Ray Shepard. And we read this in another study that I was in. Both you and the new man must walk day by day in this spiritual process. If you persist, remarkable things will happen. And in the original writing of the Big Book and the manuscripts that's there, what used to say, there was a line that Hank Parkhurst came in and crossed out, was to you. It's not necessarily, it happens to the man as well, but it happens to you, these remarkable things. And that God's hands are, we place our life in his hands better than we could ever plan, just like what you were saying, Ralph. Follow the dictates of a higher power. There it is again. And you will presently live in this new and wonderful world, no matter what your present circumstances. And Ray Shepard would say after that, there's that whole paragraph is basically, are you listening? Are you listening? Do you hear this? And to me, that's the remarkable thing that this program offers us. It's a way out of hell and into a productive life that only a higher power can take us to. Thank you for letting me share.
Lavelle.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you guys might be in this wonderful universe. My name is Lavelle Deshaun Johnson Sr., and I'm an alcoholic. And the young lady said she listened to an old guy. I listened to a couple of old guys too. They named are Ronald, Ralph, and Reggie. and mainly my sponsor. But I most of the time we talk about to the new people. And that's wonderful, right? I'm 22 years sober and currently going through a divorce, separation, right? 22 years sober. And I like this, follow the dictates of a higher power, and you will presently live in a new and wonderful world, no matter what your present circumstances, no matter what my present circumstances are. I stay connected to sisters and brothers like you. I stay connected to the power. I continuously hear, I show up in Alcoholics Anonymous because I hear people talk about going through stuff like that. And I just had an experience a few days ago, young lady that I sponsored, she had been sober about 15 years and had the separation. And then something happened to her nephew. He went to jail, and she had all these things that were happening in her life. And I just got the call from her son 2 days ago that she had OD'd, right? Because of disconnecting from the source, losing sight that no matter what happens, I gotta stay connected, right? I gotta stay on this spiritual, I gotta stay spiritually balanced. Right now, my wife, I've signed divorce papers, and my wife says she's not signing, right? I ain't getting no divorce, right? I left the house, and she still said you can come back at any time. But the dynamics of the relationship, I had to leave. And no matter what happens, I gotta stay sober. I can't be miserable, and I can't come around you guys steady whining about what my circumstances are, because there's somebody else that's going through something worse than me, right? Following the dictates. You guys tell me what to do. My sponsor showed me what to do, and I don't have to drink as a result of my emotions trying to wreck my life. Last thing, I always say this, that the universe is conspiring on my behalf without my permission to save my life. and it's always happening. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, sir. No more hands after Duvallis. Amanda?
Good morning, family. Aloha. Amanda, alcoholic, grateful to be sober and be here. And this paragraph, my brain is kind of spinning because I'm thinking about my 5th year of sobriety. Well, first of all, we share our experience. And my experience is when somebody says, don't get into a relationship in your 1st year of sobriety, probably not a good idea. But of course, I'm an alcoholic and I think things are different. And I jumped in 2 days of sobriety, jumped into a relationship. Boy and girl meet on AA campus, and and it was rough, right? It was rough, and I'm so grateful that my sponsor walked with me hand in hand, day by day on this path of spiritual progress, because everything that was going on, she said, Amanda, your sobriety is the most important thing. I had kids and and she said, your sobriety. And your husband's not going to keep you sober. Those kids aren't going to keep you sober. It doesn't matter. You got to stay sober. So I had to focus, the only one that's keeping me sober is my higher power. And it's my actions of what I do in this program that connect me to that source, that keep me sober one day at a time. And, in my 5th year of sobriety, shit hit the fan. Marriage destroyed. Oh man, it was a nightmare. And I wanted, I wanted to have 3 kids, man. My son's father was absent completely. And I wanted to keep this family unit together, right? And she kept saying, your higher power knows what's best for you, Amanda. You think you know what's best for you. Your higher power has a plan for your life. She always would say that. God's got an amazing plan for your life, Amanda. Just keep trusting in God, clean house, work with others, do the right thing. And I was like, we're going to go to counseling. And it didn't work. Marriage fell apart. Now, 17 years later, I am so grateful that things have worked out. It has worked out way better. And those years raising those kids was tough. Man, it was tough. We could not come together and co-parent. And it was lots of resentment and all of this stuff. And I kept doing the deal, man. I kept praying, and God, show me what to do, and show me how to be, and show me the woman you want me to be and the mother you want me to be. I was just in Hawaii about a month ago, and my daughter owns a cleaning business, and my ex-husband and I were able to work with her for a day, and it was beautiful. It was the first time in, 17 years that we were able to be sober parents, be together. Did I know that was the plan? Absolutely not. But the deal is I just, kept trusting in my sponsor, kept trusting this process, kept trusting in God, and things have worked out, and it's amazing. I get women to work with that are kind of going through the same kind of shit, and I know that God has given me this experience to share with others. I'm grateful to be here. I won't take any more time.
Thank you, Amanda. Reggie?
Reggie White, alcoholic. On a couple of these paragraphs, I was thinking I burnt my life totally to the ground all the time I had been out there, right? And every single relationship I had been in was totally wiped out. Not just personal relationships, but family relationships. And at the end, I've been living in my mom's house. So now it's with my mom and stuff. And I go to rehab, and I'm in there for 3 long months, and I've got 90 days, and I'm coming out of there, and I'm real spiritual, and actually my life has changed. And I felt it in me, way deep within me, and I knew that this time something had happened, and it was different. And I came home, and I was not going to impose on anybody. I got a room in San Pedro, which was way out. I'm renting a room, which is all the best I could do, but that was okay. And I remember the first thing I did, I came down to Never Too Early on that first Sunday. I got on a bus at 5:30 in the morning and rode there. And I'm thinking I've been gone so long. And when I saw my brothers and everybody in there, they were like, oh, you're out already. And nobody trusted. and I could feel that. And then I called my mom, right, just to get extra clothes from there. And my mom said, she sounded like it was as if Charles Manson had got out of prison early and wanted to come back there. And she said, oh my God, no, you can't come on my property. You can't set foot on my property. And she sent my niece with her husband, not just my niece, but she had to bring her husband with her to get the clothes out my mom's garage because they had put all my clothes out of that house and to drop them off to me. And I felt ashamed and I felt humiliated. And I thought, why won't people trust me? And they weren't supposed to trust me. I'm talking to my new friends in all these rehabs and stuff. When you're thinking about going back home, I'd made everybody so sick. I wasn't just sick by myself. I was a tornado going through the lives of everybody around me and made them so sick that they couldn't get well. And so it took my mom. My mom gave me a cake at Never Too Early at a live meeting, 2 years sober, right? When I made it back for 2 years. And we went later on, that was in June. In November of that same year, we went on a cruise together. All of our family and about 70 other AA people, right? 70, 75 people. My mom went around to everybody on that ship asking them if she thought Reggie was really, if they thought Reggie was really bad. He still didn't trust me. He still wasn't trusting me. When I would go out of my mom's house to go to, because she let me go back at Thanksgiving. I remember Ralph telling me, Mom said it'll be okay for you to come to Thanksgiving dinner because I wasn't allowed on her property. And that's how we have to do it. I would go outside to take trash out of her house and she would stick her head out because I'd snuck behind her garage so many times, getting loaded and stuff. And she absolutely could not trust me. And all I could say is, Mom, I'm not that guy anymore. And I had to be patient until it took about 3 or 4 years back before she really started trusting me again. And that's how long you might have to wait, or you may have to wait longer, or you may never get those relationships back. And there's more, but I'm going to leave that other stuff alone on other ones. I'll talk about that at a later time.
Valdez?
The veterans alcoholic, grateful to be here, grateful to be sober. Thank y'all for your service. Thank you, Ralph. In that first paragraph, after you've seen tangible results, the family will want to go along. These things will come to pass naturally in I cross that out and put God time, provided, God time. I want it on my time. I want it on her time. Like, and you taking too long. And I come around and I would get the family back quick because I'm a lookalike substance. I'm playing the show. I'm running the show, and I look like I'm recovering. I ain't recovering on nothing, right? Like and for a time I can look like I'm sober. I can be considerate and helpful, but without a program, that ain't gonna last long. It's short lived, right? It's real short lived, and I get them back. And then the Velda shows back up, right? I show back up, ego shows back up, ain't it grand, the wind stop blowing, right? Like you know what I'm saying? Like, ain't nothing wrong here, man. You know what I'm saying? I ain't do nothing. And in my mind, you should treat me a certain way because I'm sober, right? Another remind the prospect that his recovery is not dependent on people. I'm gonna let that sit right there because I would put my recovery, that I remember in a recovery home, a counselor was like, if you're here for any other reason other than yourself, leave now. You wasting good get drunk time. I was wasting a lot of time because once she comes back, she becomes my God. She becomes my God, and I put more reliance on her and staying in a relationship. And if she leave me, I'm going. And I used to say stuff like, if you leave, I'm going to get drunk. Or if you leave, I'm going to get high. If you leave me, I throw them threats out there, right? And it said it is dependent, and it is not dependent upon people. My recovery ain't dependent upon my sponsor. My recovery is dependent upon my relationship with God. And when I walk hand in hand with my sponsor, he's going to lead me to a God, and I depend more on God than anything outside of me. right? And then I look back over my life. As I look back over my life, she ain't come back, right? She ain't come back. I got some Tooladish. My sponsor guides me to the solution. We've been walking on eggshells. She tells me to make the amends. I make the amends, and now we okay, right? And I find that, damn, she go out too much. I don't want that. She go out she drink too much. She smoke weed too. I don't even really want that because I got a solution, and my basis is not dependent upon, my foundation is dependent upon God, not upon her. And I realized the things which came to us, we put ourselves in, when we put us, were better than anything we could have planned. Damn, God gonna show up and give me better than what I even knew that I wanted to. I didn't even know I wanted this shit, right? I didn't even realize that all the stuff that I got as in that relationship. My kids back in my life. We not back together, but my kids back in my life. And I would place more emphasis on, we need to be a family. We need to be a family. I want my kids together. And all. Now I got my kids back. That's the main thing. That's the main thing, because God knew better than me that I even know what to do for myself, right? Follow the dictates of a higher problem. You will presently live in a new and wonderful, no matter what your present, no matter what you're going through, no matter what's going, Ralph, 100% survival rate. No matter what I'm going through, I'm going to get through it. Everything going to be all right. Anybody new and struggling, I don't care what your circumstances said, you here, it's already getting better. It's already getting better. No matter what it may look like to you, it's already getting better. Trust the process, trust the journey, get out the way, allow God to come in, and you will presently live in a new, not the old life, I don't want that life back, a new world. I'm a grateful alcoholic. Thanks for allowing me to share.
Roddy?
Ron White, alcoholic. So a page ago, it had a line, burn the idea into the consciousness of every man that he can get well regardless of anyone. The only condition is that he trusts in God and clean house. This is all wash, rinse, and repeat, because we done already talked about this shit 2 weeks ago about, you don't have to depend on anybody, but it knows me as an alcoholic. It knows that I can't hear that immediately because, as Ralph says, as Reggie just shared, it's all about the reason I get sober is because I've lost so much. The reason I hit bottom is because Mama walked back in the house. The reason that all of these things have happened is because I don't have. So wouldn't I naturally want to regain all of these relationships if I were to get sober? And not getting these relationships back, what's the point of being sober? Because I don't really have any idea of what my life is supposed to look like anyway. It's my job to be able to walk with the new man or woman and let them know about what this new life can look like. You notice that the paragraph that we read, all the way up to this paragraph, it's been sharing all this stuff I'm supposed to be sharing with the new person, right? That I'm supposed to be feeding them and encouraging them. This is the first paragraph when it finally turns it back on me, and it says, both you and the new man. It says, don't be just focusing on the new man, Mr. White. You too. Both you and the new man must walk day by day in the path of spiritual progress. So don't start thinking that you this guide and this guru and all this other kind of shit, right? You better practice what you preach, Mr. White, as you walking with the new man or woman. Because as I walk, I must persist in spiritual progress. Because lest I start thinking that all these sponsors who start thinking that we gurus and we spiritual advisors and we're counselors and we psychiatrists and we therapists and we all this other kind of stuff, I know that if I continue to grow, I can't give about nothing. That I need to persist in the path of spiritual progress, because if I persist through the phone calls, if I persist through the sitting down and going over and over and over, if I persist, because that's what they did with me. People were persistent when I was new. They were persistent. Thank God. If I persist, and don't get mad, don't get impatient, don't get whatever. If I persist, it's kind of funny how some qualities are imbued to me by the very fact, very nature of my working with a new person. How I start becoming more patient, more tolerant, more understanding, more compassionate. How all of these things, I think they kind of tricked me into becoming a different person just by me working with this new man or woman. Because now I've started gaining some things, even if that person hasn't. Even if the new man or woman hasn't, I've started to get some things. The formula, the immunity, right? That they talked about at the beginning of this. Nothing will so much ensure immunity against drinking as intensive work with other alcoholics. This is our 12th suggestion. And so this isn't just what, it's funny how when the readings, now my thoughts have started turning that I'm doing all this for them. No, you getting something from this. And so when I put myself in God's hands, things are better than anything I could have done. Amazing how that happens, Candy, right? And so if I'm gonna stop because I know Ralph got something good.
Well, I don't have much good except this is my favorite paragraph in the book. It's the only page I quote. Well, I quote a lot of pages. It's the only one I attribute the page number. I let you smarter guys than me remember the page numbers. But this one, this is my favorite paragraph. Because it's the one that I can do. I don't, all the others, but this is the one I can do. How do I know? Because I'm here. How do all of us know that we're here? Because we're here. And one of the hallmarks of being here, meaning haven't left, still got a date, we persisters. This paragraph, for me, has a lot of implications that are beyond. Amanda was sharing, and Amanda made me read this paragraph in a way I haven't read it before. That's why we say the prayer beforehand, because I still see something different all the time. And so when I look at this paragraph, I see it in 3 or 4 different ways. But let's go back when it talks about reminding the prospect. I'm gonna say something that I don't know. It's kind of crazy. You said remind the prospect that his relationship, remind the prospect that his recovery is not dependent upon people. It's dependent upon his relationship with God. If I'm the prospect, that scares me to death. I don't have a relationship with God. You want me to have a relationship with God to trust before I get one. What? No. What I read this to say is, Ralph, what you are embarking on is you suffer from an illness that only a spiritual experience can. So this whole next thing that you're looking for, we're not saying you have a relationship with God already. We're saying that's what you're after. You're not after dollars. You're not after the crib. You're not after the wife. You're not after the relationship with the kids. You're not after mama taking you back. What you really need to focus on, sir, because you smoke dope and you get loaded. What you are after is relationship with God. We know you ain't got it. That's why you will have some hand holders. That's why in this next paragraph, we are going to say, both you and the new man. So we got something, instruction for the guy that's working with you, for all of us that are here. Amanda said something. And so when it says both you and the new man, I'm gonna read that several ways. One, me and the new man, individually, we gotta persist. Whether the sponsee do what he do, I gotta persist. Then Amanda said something about her sponsor. And sponsors, sometimes we gotta persist with the sponsee when they in the hole. Navon, I just announced to you guys what's happening with Navon and her mom this morning. And Navon has something on her tip with her mom that's been going on for a minute. And her husband that's been going on for a minute. And she been in it. And she given me the privilege of holding hands. And both me and I'm persistent with her. Sometimes sponsors, the best we can do is don't throw them, don't leave them out there. Sometimes the best we can do is say, baby, we don't know, but we got God. We got God. You ain't got Ralph, but we got God, but you got Ralph while you get God too. We got God. And so sponsors, when we say both you and the new man, I'm persistent on my own, but sometimes I get the privilege. It don't feel like a privilege. It feel really burdensome sometimes. It feel really draining sometimes. Sometimes your sponsees are going through the regular. She doing this, she doing, yeah, okay. Hey, I'm gonna persist with your ass, Devouters, while we just sit on the phone and go. And then sometimes we persistent and it's deep. And it's tough. Some of us are persistent with people when they've lost kids. You know, some of us are persistent with people when they've gone through illness themselves. You know, so we persisters. And so both you and the new man. But the other thing, the way that I read this paragraph, which is why it's my favorite paragraph, is we pair it with everything else that we've read, you know, about my dependence is gotta be on this power. And so let's unpack that. Both you and the new man must walk day by day the path of spiritual progress. Okay, so that's what I'm doing. It don't look like it every day. That's why I say if you persist. Some people will say, damn, that's a staggering walk for it to be the park up here. Yeah, it is sometimes. You know, it ain't skipping. It ain't floating. It ain't levitating. You know, I forget the name of Don Major's book, but I think it's like staggering. But it's, you know, sometimes it's not graceful all the time either. This walk, this path of spiritual progress. But here's the thing. I don't care how
Valerie is holding it. It says stumbling in the right direction.
Stumbling in the right direction. That's Don Major. That's what, if you persist in the path of spiritual, stumbling sometimes, staggering sometimes, you know, falling down. I'm a knee scraper. You know, I scrape my knees. You know, I face plant sometimes. It's some people on here that ass showers. You know what I'm saying? Whole ass be out and everybody get a turn, you know. And so Victor, I'm just stuck. You sit down, Victor. See, why trigger me? He ain't shit.
He had a flashback.
Yeah. Whoa. And so if we persist, you know, so Victor just threw me. Remarkable things will happen. What? Remarkable? And here's how we know about the remarkable things. When I'm in the classroom, I usually don't get the benefit of the lesson. You know, I see it when I'm outside and I realize it. When we look back is the evaluator. You know, when I'm in it, sometimes this is some bullshit, you know. And then when I look back, if Mary had come back to me, and that's my first wife, and I was sharing with you guys, I wanted her to come back. I wanted her to come back. I wanted her to come back. But then, okay, that didn't happen, you know. But when I look back, for some of you, this ain't gonna mean nothing. Some of y'all know I got a daughter who's 20. River White wouldn't be on this planet. And I can't imagine the world without River White. And if my first wife had come back, oh my God, remarkable things have happened. when I put myself in God's hands, you know. And so so for all of us, not just new, old ones, I'm glad a couple of people share. Thank you, Lavelle, about being in the valley right now. It's persist time. It's not time to let up. It's persist. When it's in the dark, that's when I keep my feet on the path of spiritual progress. That's when I'm usually holding hands with somebody because it's dark for me and they might have a light. They might be the light, you know, and we might both be walking in the dark on the path of spiritual progress, you know. And then I find out when I put myself in God's hand, not Ralph's. Don't hit a leg. Don't go for. I'm not so scared of my problems, you guys. You know what scares me? My solutions. My solutions to my problems, you know. So when I put myself in God's hands, you know, we realize that the things that happened when I put myself in God's hands were better than anything I could have planned. Lavelle, I'm glad you read it for yourself. Follow the dictates of higher power. Here's the thing that I don't like, you guys. Bill be slippery with that too. But he can't help but be slippery because he know he ain't God. So he just have to put a word in there. He says, you will presently live in it. I want to know when presently is. Bill, you will presently live in a new and wonderful world. Avail. You will presently live in a new and wonderful world, no matter how shitty you look right now, no matter how bleak it look right now. And the veil is a stand-in for all the people right now that's in the dark, for all the people right now that's in uncertainty, for all the people on the platform right now that feels like this is some bullshit, that feel like this is too much, that feel like my plate is too full, that feel like you cut my slice too thick, that feel like I can't see no way out, you know. Okay, God, presently. When is presently, Ralph? Presently is presently. That's why we say persist. Keep it moving. What does persist mean? Keep it moving. Keep it moving. Keep it moving. And the good news is we got a lot of people on here. We got a lot of people that's new. And you like, I don't know about that. But we got a lot of people that's old. That's why Amanda checked in and Jill checked that can share with you. This ain't theoretical. We've kept our feet moving. And we can share with you that the new and wonderful world has always appeared when we put ourselves in God's hand. 100% survival rate with every fear that I've ever experienced when I put my hand in God's hand. 100%, you know. And so, wow. I hate to leave. We got 2 minutes left, and I'm talked out on that paragraph. So I hate to read another paragraph. Oh shit, we got a minute left. I'm gonna take the first man's hand to read next week. First man's hand that I see, we'll read next week. Mike Mack, you got it. Show up a little early.